As a football fan from the U.S., it's that time of year when people are saying, "Oh, great, football is beginning, thank God." And those of us CFL fans know that it's been happening for 2.5 months now. We'll talk more right after this on the Rouge, White, and Blue CFL podcast. Hi, and welcome to the Rouge, White, and Blue CFL podcast. My name's Oz Davis. I'm the co-host of the show, and the co-host joining me, as always, is Joe Pritchard. Joe, how are you doing this morning?
Oh, well, I'm here in between the time we last talked, which was last night because we were having a lot of fun with technical difficulties. I became a head soccer coach without me being aware that I had signed up to do so. So, yay!
Okay, for who?
For my boy.
Okay,
just the little rec league.
Okay. So this is what, 6 to 8 year old or something?
Yep, something like that. And of course, the first game's the day of the Banjo Bowl. So somebody else gets to be the coach for the first game. But that's how these things work out. Thankfully, we have people that are volunteering. I just kind of got thrown into the pile as, oh, you're the head guy. Okay, fine. Except I have an obligation. So,
all right. Okay. So, what do you know about, let's call it, European football?
Just enough to get myself in trouble.
Okay, so what do you got to run with these kids? You got to run a 5-2-3 or?
Well, thankfully, it's a small field. There's only 5 of them on it at the time. No goaltenders.
Oh.
So being that small, I could probably just do the Roy Kent whistle instead of actually having a whistle and be heard. So.
Nice. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing about that. I'm sure somebody's videoing this. Will there be highlights?
Probably not, because if it's a team I'm coaching, they're probably not. They're probably in deep trouble already, right? But I do. I mean, if it ever comes to the point where I get asked questions after the game, I can always just go, "Hey, I got to go watch the film, make my judgments after I watch the film." And if there's any problems, I'll just say there's not an issue. We're just going to handle it internally.
That's right. Yep. We're moving on to next week. All right. Okay. Well, like Joe said, we had some technical difficulties last night. And so basically I'm agreeing to redo this one, Joe, on one condition. And that condition is we don't talk about this first game of last week. Right? We'll just skip right past Winnipeg Blue Bombers 26, Montreal Alouettes 13. Can we just?
Really, it just comes down to Brady's back.
Yeah. How about it? Did you have him on the fantasy team, Joe?
I did.
All right. Nice. So what was that, about 36 points? What was that? 210 total yards on 16 runs, 9 catches on 9 targets, 1 touchdown. Now, I also wanted to point out, too, that this is not a fantasy football stat. However, damn impressive. Again, that's 210 total yards on offense. This entire team had 302. So that's about 70% of the offensive production was Brady Oliveira. And to say that he was unstoppable, that is not an overstatement. Nicely done by Brady.
Yeah, it worked out well. The wide receiver injuries are a little bit more concerning, though. They brought in Eccles, and they made another signing. I'm blanking on at the moment. So, it wasn't good news early in the week when you're signing Canadian receivers when your Canadian receiver got hurt, right?
Right. Like the Stamps, it has been a carousel of receivers there at Winnipeg. In fact, what looked like for a while, this looked like a game between two teams struggling to stay above 500 and who seem way too talented to be doing so. I mean, over there on Montreal, we had our number 4 quarterback going. And in fact, Tyler Snead had one of the longest plays of this game when nice trick play, nice fake run for the pass for 44 yards. Now there was one 45-yarder from Mr. James Morgan to Alex Holland. But I mean, again, really big play. And meanwhile, on the Winnipeg side, we had Chris Streveler out there playing wide receiver. I can talk about that in a minute. After Nick Dempsey goes down. Now, you're thinking on one hand, oh, this is a trick play, Philly special, all this kind of stuff. But no, it's out of necessity.
Yeah, and he had played some at Minnesota, I believe. So it wasn't the first time he's done that either for the Bombers. His versatility kind of helps give him even more of a reason to be the backup quarterback, right?
Right. You need that guy on your roster. I gotta say, it irked me more than a little bit as an Alouettes fan, because here's Streveler, and he started playing at the wide receiver in the second quarter. This guy didn't even get a target. I don't even know if this guy got a look, and yet the Owls defense was still wasting coverage on this guy. It was a bit concerning for me, for this team, that here we are. Now we're down to our 4th string quarterback. And you look at this team and you go, wow, well, the defense is loaded, right? The defense is loaded with studs. Sean Lemon's back. We got Ty Everett in there. We've got Daryl Sankey in there. I mean, this is a nice defense. But we're just getting killed on the time of possession. There's only so much.
Yeah, and the alternative, though, to leaving Streveler wide open is you get him the ball, and he's in the secondary all of a sudden, and what is he going to do to your poor defenseless defensive back?
Yeah. I mean, this secondary was not exactly, say, the BC secondary in this game. I mean, again, as a Montreal guy, you have complete faith in the defense. But again, seriously, these last 4 games, we've lost 4 games in a row now. We're getting outdone on the time of possession, 33.5 to 26.5. More importantly, we're getting outscored 30 to 15.
I think that's the bigger concern, is the offense isn't keeping up its end of the bargain, meaning the defense is just out there to die eventually, right?
Right.
Because that's what happened. Fourth quarter hit.
Right.
And I mean, the Bombers' special is to just run Brady at you in the fourth quarter and let it wear you out, right? And when the defense is already fatigued, well, how's that going to end?
No. Yeah, exactly. And this is the kind of thing that seems to be happening to them week after week, with the exception of that Edmonton game, which was a weird one. I don't know. It's getting frustrating being an Alouettes fan. We're going to preview next week's games, the Labor Day games coming up, of course. But Winnipeg is one of 6 teams that's not getting a bye. What can you expect from them going into the Saskatchewan back-to-back?
Get a split and I'll be okay.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's what I'm thinking. Spoiler. That's what I'm going to go with. Okay. So let's move on. Second game of last week was Edmonton Elks 30, Ottawa Redblacks 20. So what? That's now 8 in a row, I think, West versus East after the Montreal-Winnipeg game. West continues the domination here. The thing that struck me about this game, I got a wild one for you. Okay, the Ottawa Red Blacks are getting off to slow starts. Okay, we all know this, but I went back and I looked at all the games and I totaled this up. I got some wild stats for you, Joe.
Okay.
In the past 3 games, the opposition in the first quarter, mind you, has scored 35 points. The Red Blacks have scored?
Not
first
that
quarters,
many.
past 3 games. 1.
At
half.
CFL.
At half, they're being outscored 65-29. Okay, so that breaks down as 12-0, basically, after the first quarter, 22-10.5. Okay, that's a small sample size, or so I thought.
And they're not exactly equipped to play come from behind with Dustin Crum as the quarterback, right?
Mm-hmm.
Unless they're playing Winnipeg, in which case I don't want to talk about
it. Yeah, the one time they look good. The other okay, here's another wild stat. So, 3 games, small sample size, but no, this has been happening all season long. Do you realize the last time they scored more than 1 point in the first quarter? You ready for this? Week 6. Week 6. This entire season, they have scored a total of 21 points in first quarters. That's in 11 games. Okay, they've scored 2 touchdowns, 2 field goals, and 1 Rouge. That's what they've done in the first quarter of this season. So as a result,
you combine their first quarters and Winnipeg's second and third quarters, and you have a team that can score it all.
You're never getting started with that combination.
No.
So, I mean, how can you account for this? Like, I mean, is this high? I mean, they're winning the second halves. Okay, so the average second half with Ottawa is 16-14. Ottawa, right?
Right.
So,
but you're asking the other team. You're asking the other team's defense just not to screw it up. So you get a lot more of the deep zone. You can pick that apart if you have any competence whatsoever, or with a running quarterback in play now, that's when he can get those 12, 15-yard scrambles, keep moving the ball, and then all of a sudden you've got your Lewis Ward's range, which has been Ottawa's offense for a decade now. So, yeah, really. I mean, when the onus is on the defense just not to give up the big play, that's exactly how they're going to play it. And that's when you can rack up some numbers and make things look a little bit prettier than they already are.
Right. But I mean, okay, you can talk about quarterback. You can talk about, going other issues. But, I mean, the Red Blacks have names. I mean, they have William Stanback is here. Dan Adeboye is here. Eugene Lewis, Justin Hardy. That's a pretty good 1-2 in receiving. Khalil Pimpleton has been a monster on special teams this year. And like you mentioned, Lewis Ward. It's not like they don't have guys who can't score points. It's just these slow starts are just killing them. I mean, it's like, and they seem to be adapting well enough. I mean, this team puts themselves back into these ball games, but they lose every time. They're digging these holes, and I don't know. So the bye week's coming up. Some folks are talking about Bob Dice's job security. What do you think?
That's been talked about for about 6 weeks now. I mean, they had the first time I could really see the storm clouds gathering was earlier this year. I'm just trying to look back. Their first bye week, it was questionable whether there'd be a change made there. Then they went out and smoked Calgary because that they own Calgary this year somehow.
Yeah.
Then they had the really big numbers against Toronto, who has no defense to speak of apparently, and then almost came back on Winnipeg.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're back to, we just lost Edmonton at home. We have problems.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like they got just enough of an excuse not to make a change without having some real progress in there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay.
And they get, after this, they get BC back to back.
Mm-hmm.
I think they need to split that to even have a season to look forward
Yes.
to, right?
Yes. But
and then Winnipeg at home, and then the third bye week. But by then you're that close. You're close enough to the end of the season where you just might ride it out until the end, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Ottawa beating BC would be a disastrous to BC, because in this game, here's Edmonton winning the third game in a row, and you have BC losing the next game. They're in the hunt. They're actually in this thing. They're half a game back suddenly. How does this happen? On the other hand, I should say too that this offense has been looking great. I mean, it's no secret that they've had names since last year. This offense has seen some great individual performances. Guys like Justin Rankin, Javon Leake wasn't awesome in this game, but contributed. And welcome back, Curley Gittins.
Where just remind me the next time I start questioning a coach's decision to bench a quarterback to just shut up, because I'm not very good at that lately.
Well, again, it's not that so much as Cody Fajardo. Cody Fajardo. What is this now? This is now going to be the third fan base this guy wins over. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. It's like,
for a time anyway. For some reason, it doesn't stick, but he's been underrated really his entire career. Like, nobody gives him, and that's what I thought Montreal was doing, right? Is I thought they were underrating what they had. Clearly, they knew what they were doing, making the change to Alexander, assuming he can get back healthy.
Right.
But again, another situation. Well, we wore out his welcome to Saskatchewan because he wasn't the second coming of Jesus. Eventually, quarterbacks wear out their welcome there faster than other places, unless your name is Darian Durant, I think, right?
Nice.
But there wasn't a whole lot he could do with that team near the end. They were going through the Craig Dickinson years where Labor Day would hit and they would decide that the season was over instead of beginning. So then Montreal wins a Grey Cup. Next year has a good season. All of a sudden, he's in Edmonton. Like, how? Right? That doesn't make a ton of sense. And I punished them thoroughly in my predictions, only to see Davis Alexander give me a good reason as to why Cody Fajardo was in a new city.
Yeah.
But now, like, clearly Edmonton likes what they're seeing. It's working. So shows both Montreal and Edmonton know more than me somehow. So you almost think that they are getting paid for this, right?
Yeah. How about it? They know a few things.
Shocking.
Actually, on that note, not to bring everything back to Montreal, but Davis Alexander was spotted on the sidelines in this game, and it is said that he will be back in September. And personally, I'd like to see him back after the bye week, but we'll see about that. Why is Montreal not playing Ottawa during this bye week, during Labor
Day? For some reason, I think they don't want to commit to Montreal, Ottawa, and Labor Day because because first of all, there was a big chunk of time where that game went away entirely because of various city shifts and teams not existing and such things like that. But you would think rekindling that rivalry, which seemed to survive all of that, and then like in the middle, like when the Renegades were around for a couple of years, really seemed to fire up. And then when the Renegades went away, they've been kind of downplaying that. I almost think they don't want to commit to that on Labor Day, though, weekend, because they don't want BC to be like an auto buy that week, right? because you've seen BC Montreal, BC Ottawa that weekend too.
Yeah.
They don't really want to commit to that. I don't really know why, unless that's the reason.
Mhm.
But then if that's the reason, maybe commit to it the next week, because they don't do a Hamilton-Toronto return game, right? It's the Western games that are back, that are home and home.
Yeah, right.
So maybe make Montreal-Ottawa a game that happens the week after Labor Day,
Okay.
to kind of draw some, draw attention to that. And then Canadian Thanksgiving seems to have been Montreal, Ottawa. That seems to be their day.
Yeah,
Great.
okay.
Do it that way too.
Okay.
But
that makes sense.
When all the other teams are facing their rivals, maybe mix it up. Maybe if you don't want to put it on Labor Day weekend to make BC not feel left out, put it the next weekend, so that at least there's one game for the fans to look forward to in the East each week, back to back, right? Because you don't get Toronto Hamilton in week 14. It just Toronto's on a bye, Hamilton's at Montreal. They really don't want to establish that either for some reason. Maybe it just makes scheduling out east a lot easier for some reason. It could be. Or they're not, or the Argos aren't getting the dates they want. That's a possibility too. But then put Ottawa and Montreal out there, so you at least have Toronto Hamilton, and then the next week Ottawa Montreal, and have one team host on Thanksgiving and one team host on the return weekend, right?
Okay. Wow, it's almost like you think about this stuff obsessively.
Never. I don't know what you're talking about.
If you devote half as much brain power to the soccer team, you guys will go undefeated.
Oh, there'll be an on something. It's just probably the defeated part is definitely going to be in there though.
The Elks are facing the back-to-back now with Calgary, as we just discussed at length. They're going to be doing the back-to-back at Calgary. They've got to win at least one of these to have any realistic shot, right, of staying in this thing.
That would help. BC being on the bye this week means that whatever happens is going to tell us whether they're tied or whether BC's got a 1-game lead.
Right.
But after the back-to-back, Edmonton has Toronto, and then at Hamilton, and then home against Saskatchewan. Yeah, so they're probably going to want to win at least one of those and get Toronto too to really feel like they have a shot in this race.
Right. Could they? Could they beat Calgary next week?
I'm not going to pick Edmonton over Calgary in Calgary. Ask me again next week, though.
Yeah.
Because we'll see. Like, if Edmonton shows up and gives them a game, shows that they can make it competitive, you almost would want to pick them for the return matchup.
Yeah. I think this one on Labor Day could be a close one. Could be tight. Could be a nice game. Okay, moving on. Just wanted to say this to close it. Daniel Okpogo, who was taken off in the ambulance after this game, was released from the hospital the following Sunday. So no problem there. That was scary. That delayed the game for a long time. That was pretty scary stuff. But everything is okay, I suppose. All right, next game last weekend was Toronto Argonauts 52. Wow. BC Lions 34. I think we can do that line where, Toronto just scored again in the second half. This is the second 50-point game of the season after Bo Levy just teed off for Hamilton in week, what was that? That was a long time ago. That was week 6, 7, somewhere in this area.
Well, Toronto also had that 42-point showing against Ottawa. Unfortunately, the defense gave up 46, right?
Right, exactly. Still the highest.
Oh, and they gave up the 51 to Hamilton in week 5. So
that's right.
You look at the standings. Have you looked at the standings lately? Actually, just take a look at the page.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
I'll look at it right now. But yes, I've been looking at it often. I can't believe Montreal's record. So I keep checking, see if it changes.
So believe it or not, Toronto has scored the most points in the league right now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So there's 4 teams that have played 11 games, so that has a part to play in this, but not a huge part, because the only team within striking distance is Hamilton, and they're 29 points behind with 1 game in hand, right?
Right.
So it's not like, oh, they're a point ahead, but the team behind them has played 2 less games or anything silly like that. They're legitimately in the lead. But there's the only small problem with that whole thing is that they're also in the lead for most points given up by an even larger margin.
Right.
Without a game in hand.
That's what I was going to say. The wild thing about Toronto is that, they're the highest scoring team in the league, and they're minus 26 after winning this game in point differential. They were minus 50 some odd before this game. Around 50 before this game. It's like, damn, this defense gives up a lot of points. It was hilarious because the over-under on this game was something like 51.5. So, I think they covered. I think Toronto covered by themselves. Now, look, this is an upset. The odds were really, really long on Toronto in this game. Okay. Nobody's expecting anybody to put up 50 points. That's why it's, so notable. But, by the same token, you can't be too surprised. BC's defense is just about as worst. Right. Is just about as porous, if not more, than Toronto's. And
not more, not yet, but give it a couple weeks. That could happen. They're only 30 points behind.
Right. Now, we would have to go through these numbers with a fine-tooth comb to be precise, because special teams, of course, has been putting up crazy amount of points this year in the CFL. So it's probably not all that bad, but Toronto and BC are giving up more big plays, more points, more touchdowns to the offense than any team in the league. It's quite clear. I have never seen, Joe, I don't know how closely you were watching this. I have never seen so many busted coverages, blown coverages, and just getting straight up smoked on these repeated go routes in my life. Literally. Okay, maybe that game a couple of years ago in the NFL when Miami put up 70 points on Denver. Okay, maybe that game. But this was ridiculous. This was like Madden out there. This was like somebody's playing Madden who knows how to play it versus a first-time guy. Just running the same thing over and over. It was sick. I mean, this was absolutely pitiful show by BC defense. I mean, they were winning 14-3. They were winning 17-3 in the second quarter at one point. Toronto put up 49 points, in the final 40 minutes of this game. 6 touchdowns, 2 field goals. I mean, that's nuts. What a show by the defense. Absolutely brutal. Absolutely brutal. I mean, so now, we just talked about Edmonton. We'll talk about Toronto in just a moment. We talked about Edmonton. And, now Edmonton's half a game ahead of BC. BC is just falling off the table. What is going on here with this BC team?
Well, Nathan Work isn't quite as good as some expect him to be. Isn't quite as bad as people were thinking he was last year, right? Because he came back and everything fell apart in BC.
Yeah.
He's a good, solid, maybe even top 3 starter in this league, right? If he's not top 3, he's top 4, right? He's good. Yep. But he can't play defense, right? That's what's happening. I mean, they're playing good. They're doing very well as far as playing offense goes, and their defense is just not holding up their end of the bargain. That's why they have a negative 17-point differential, and that's why they're losing games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, 34 points is a good showing most weeks, and this was all offense.
On the road? Yeah.
Yep. Right. Coming from BC. Right. So, yeah, okay, you may be right. So
it's not Nathan's fault the defense didn't get off the plane.
Okay. All right. Now look. Okay. Here we go. So
I would say the same thing for Nick Arbuckle too.
Okay.
Think about it. Like he didn't have a sterling reputation coming into the season. He bounced around a whole bunch after he had been a good backup for Bo Levi Mitchell in Calgary before the world got shaken up for a few years there. and then he had, he was basically thrown out there to die in Edmonton. And ever since then, he's bounced around. Did his job at the end of last year, helped his team, did enough. Yeah, did enough to keep his team in the game until his defense could take care of business.
Yeah.
And then this year, Chad Kelly is supposed to be the starter, but Chad Kelly's still out with the injury he suffered in the East Final.
Yeah.
If I'm Toronto, am I starting to think about maybe, Chad Kelly doesn't return this year, maybe just moving on?
Oh, God.
You'd unburden yourself from a salary and a public relations problem in one shot, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
You think
you have to at least have that conversation, don't you?
Damn. Well, I guess that answers my question. I mean, the question I had was, 26 of 33, 430 yards, 3 touchdowns. It sounds bizarre to say it from a guy who, again, won the Grey Cup last season, but this was his career game, right?
Yeah.
Here's Jake Herslow and Dejon Brissett combining for 267 yards on 9 catches. Herslow, who was the guy who demonstrated his vertical leap the prior week, by the way, he had 2 touchdowns as well. And weren't they missing a wide receiver in this game? Oh, yeah. Daryl Coxey, right? Only leading receiver in the CFL. So I was going to ask you to tell me that this was a fluke. What you're saying is this is not a fluke.
Well, they have the highest amount of points scored in the league. It can't be a fluke, can it?
Damn. Oh.
Now, if we were talking, if it was week 5, maybe we have a discussion, but it's week 13, 14, right? No. So Nick Arbuckle was playing well enough to be a starter in this league, right?
Mm-hmm. Jesus.
Wouldn't you be happy with him in Montreal right now?
Well,
at least with Alexander on the sidelines.
Yeah, right. Look, right? we've got 7 games left. Okay, I'm still hoping that Davis can come back, and if I mean, can you imagine this guy starting the last 5 games of the season and going 5-0? I mean, what a legend he would be building.
Yeah.
But I'm expecting to whip off a few more when he comes back. Now, let's say we ended up at 8-10. That's probably enough to get you in, right? I don't think 4th place in the West will get 9-9, especially if you're talking about BC versus Edmonton. So,
well, the 4th place in the West might get there, but at the same time, 3rd place in the East is still going to be Ottawa or Toronto, right?
Well, I mean, you seem to be implying that's Toronto. You seem to be implying that's Toronto.
No, I'm not saying Toronto's going to be much better than they are right now. I'm just saying that Nick Arbuckle is at least worthy of a conversation of, hey, he's doing a good job. He can't play defense either, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let me ask you about this one because this was a weird one. Okay, so the play of the game. So there's about 4 seconds, 5 seconds left in the first half. BC is taking the kneel down. Okay, Toronto gets penalized for too many men on the field. Right. Buck Pierce declines the penalty. What's going on here? What was that about? Any ideas?
I wonder if it was a clock situation. I don't know the
Well,
clock rules as well as I should, given how long I've been watching this.
Right.
It's like if he declines it, maybe they let the clock keep running and they would just get the hell out of there, right?
Right. That's it. That was the thing. That's why he declined it, is to let the clock run out. But I'm not sure why he didn't take the yards and try and get into field goal range. I mean, why not? Right? Why not? Toronto had scored how many points in that second quarter? 17, 20, something like that. Why don't you go into halftime with a few more points? But okay, so maybe not as bizarre as I thought it was. Now BC 2-4 against the West, half a game up on it. All right. Finally, well, you had to be happy with this one, Joe. Yeah, on some level at least. Calgary Stampeders 32, Saskatchewan Roughriders 15. I had a question first off to start. Do the Riders have to start every game this season 1-0?
It's their duty as loyal Canadians to do so.
Right.
Of all the things they could do, that's the one thing I'm not going to object to, right?
Right. Right. It's the one. It's like that. It's like the guy who plays chess and starts the same way every game. They start 1-0 every game, like they did in this game. But wow, pretty soon it didn't take long for Calgary to go up 14-2, and suddenly they were in charge of this game. Win for 3 straight 3-and-outs. Suddenly Saskatchewan is back into it at half. It's 15-14. Vernon Adams threw a gratuitous pick. In fact, he had a couple in this game. A couple of bad Vernon moments in an otherwise, good game by Vernon. But what I really liked was in the second half. I mean, Calgary just shut everything down, wins the second half 18-0 when it looked like the Riders had made it a game. So, wow, kudos to the Stamps. Saskatchewan is now 0-2 against Calgary and undefeated against everybody else. Calgary is now 5-0 against Winnipeg and Saskatchewan. 5-0 against those two teams.
And 0-2 against Ottawa. Because that makes sense, right?
Right. 2-3 against the East. They're 2-3 against the East, and they're 0-0 against BC and Edmonton. It's like oddities of the CFL schedule, but wow. I mean, Calgary is completely asserting themselves here. Really, Joe, Obi-Wan, this may be your only hope if it's not going to be the Riders in the Grey Cup from the West. But Calgary looks good. I mean, also we have to note that Damien Alford came back, played some snaps in this game. So good to see him back, I guess, if you're a Calgary fan, like they need more help. And just wanted to say in this game that Dedrick Mills was awesome. Did you have him on your fantasy team?
No, it's hard to afford 2 good running backs, right?
Right. And against the Saskatchewan defense, which has been really good against the run this season. Nope, not this time. 78 yards on 16 carries and 1 really nice touchdown. And Mills was the force. He was looking like Brady Oliveira, except in the first and third quarters. And he really got the offense started, both in the game and coming out of the locker room in the third half. So, wow, excellent game by Dedrick Mills. Really nice game by him. Yeah, and thanks to the oddity of the scheduling, suddenly Calgary looks really nice. Let's see. Let's go back to the standings board. How much are they down by? What is it? A point and a half? No, 2
Nope.
points. So one game.
It's straight one game. Yep.
One full game. All right. So we're counting on Winnipeg here. Winnipeg wins this game, Joe. They're down by one game. Calgary is tied with Saskatchewan. Now, Winnipeg loses the tiebreaker to Calgary, of course. But Winnipeg in a couple of weeks, Winnipeg could be fighting for second place, Joe.
It's on the table, but you just get all I'm hoping for as a Bomber fan right now. Get healthy, get to November.
Yes.
Hopefully host playoff game at the very least.
Yeah.
Even if you don't, get healthy, and you've been there before, they haven't. So go do what you do in November.
Mm-hmm. Imagine the glory of them going to Regina and winning.
2019, anybody?
Imagine that.
Me sitting there with my then 2-year-old because he decided to climb on me in the final drive and like, okay, don't launch him through the ceiling. Don't launch him through the ceiling. Be careful.
Right. Okay, son, put your seatbelt on. This is going to get bumpy. Right. So we open next week. Let's just go right into it. We open next week with that Labor Day Classic, number 1, Winnipeg at Saskatchewan. Okay. This is a 5.5 point spread. Saskatchewan's favored by 5.5. Quite a lot. I don't know if I would bet it, but I would definitely say Winnipeg covers. But I think I'm going to take Saskatchewan here, and I think for the game you're going to, the Banjo Bowl, I think I'm going to take Winnipeg.
You're pretty much thinking exactly what I am, even with the spread thing, right?
Yeah.
It's been far too long since the Riders have gotten just an absurdly stupid bounce at the end of one of these in Saskatchewan, and one when they had no right to. So that'll probably happen this time. Now, I'm not saying they don't have a right to win. They might blow the doors off the Bombers, but it's been a long time since the game has gone 58 minutes towards the Bombers, and then like the last minute or two, the wrong bounce at the wrong time just catapults them to victory. Mm-hmm. I've seen that happen a few too many times for my liking. Mm-hmm. As in a few times.
Well, Saskatchewan is going to appreciate the extra day, not having to play this until Monday. Because, wow. I mean, again,
no, it's Sunday. But still, it's an extra day. It's Sunday, but it's an extra day than they're used to, right?
Yeah. They're getting – it feels like a longer week for some of these teams anyway. So, but they're going to need it because, again, they had 17 total yards. They had 68, 65 total yards in the first 28 minutes. When they had a backup quarterback in there, did they put together a 40-yard drive at the end, and they still didn't score points. This was on offense, and on defense, again, they couldn't, for the first time this season, they couldn't really stop the run at all. So they're going to be looking to make up some points. Now, will they be able to stop Brady Oliveira? They're certainly going to want to. They're certainly going to try to. But I don't think so. I think this game will be surprisingly close, I think. And I think that in a couple of weeks, people could be questioning Rider supremacy in the West. Again, they're doing that second half fall off here that they've been known for in the past few years, I feel like. Could happen. All right. So, second game of the weekend. Here's the surging Toronto Argonauts versus Hamilton. Like you said, Joe, the last time these two teams played, Hamilton put up the 50 points. Bo Levy had the 5 passing touchdowns. Last week, Toronto scored 50 points. So, what are you thinking? 52-50 in this game?
Take the over.
No, that's too easy. There's no way that hits because they'll probably set the over at about 80 anyway.
And then it'll be a game that's like 17-12, right?
Oh yeah,
that's the way this is going to play out, right?
Yeah, there'll be like a ton of turnovers. Like all of a sudden, Toronto will like double their turnover number for the year in one game. But no, I certainly would not bet the over on this game. Hamilton is favored by 5.5 in this as well. Um, tough to call this one, but okay. Again, Toronto defense has been pretty bad. I mean, okay, last week they gave up 34. Pretty standard stuff, giving up the most points in the league. And Bo Levy Mitchell was having an outstanding season. With last week, notwithstanding, or last game, notwithstanding, looked pretty poor against Saskatchewan. So have most people except for Calgary this season. So, does Hamilton have enough here? I'm going to say yes. I think for the sanity of the East, it would be better if Hamilton won. I don't like it from the Alouettes, but let's go with the Hamilton win, and they might win handily. I think Toronto might be turning into a pumpkin this week.
Yeah, I think so. I just don't trust Toronto's defense to make enough stops.
Make any stops. I mean, after the bye week, after wanting to come back, I think Bo Levy could torch them again. I mean, again, this is the team he went for 5 TDs, 0 picks against. To pass the ball at will the last time they faced each other. So I think that Bo could pick them apart in this game, actually. Okay, finally. Wow, another intriguing interdivisional game here. Edmonton at Calgary, the last of the Labor Day tripleheader. I believe so, right?
Yep.
No.
Well, no, it's a doubleheader, but it's three games to associate with Labor Day in the span of 24 hours.
Right.
So
yeah, right. In one Earth day, 24 hours, 24-hour span. Okay, so Edmonton at Calgary. This one is 6.5. Calgary's favored by 6.5 in this game. I think that's foolish. I think the way that Cody Fajardo and this offense and these special teams in Edmonton are playing, I think that they could keep them in the game. Edmonton is another team that's capable of scoring a lot of points and giving up a lot of points in the same game. I'm also interested to see how hot Calgary defense stays again after pitching that shutout against the Riders in the second half. And actually, they held them to just 2. So actually, only the special teams gave up points in the first quarter of that last game. So defense is pretty hot for Calgary right now. I'm interested to see what they do against Edmonton, but I do think that Cody will have this team, and Justin Rankin probably will have this team scoring some points. We'll put this at about what? I don't know, maybe 27-20 Calgary. I'll give Calgary the win, though.
And really, if you think about it, Edmonton's played everybody tough except for BC. They've gotten blown out by BC twice. Everybody else, they've either been close to or lately they're breaking through.
Yeah.
So I don't think a blowout's going to be on the table. I think Calgary wins, and a 10-point margin is going to wouldn't surprise me.
Okay.
But I also don't see this being like a 40-point laugher either, right?
Oh, no. This is not going to be a blowout. Again, I was surprised that it was 6.5 points, but this, again, might be the case of, the sports books not exactly putting the magnifying glass onto the CFL. I don't think the spread should be 6.5. Even though you have a 10-point game could be a blowout. Because that could be a 17-point game with 2 minutes left and then garbage time. So I don't know. I wouldn't say it's not going to be a blowout and then take Calgary by 10. That's the thing about Edmonton is they got names. They have names. they have players on this offense. And again, Rankin has just been having a monster season. He's just been awesome this year. So they've got weapons on the offense. They can hang. They can hang. It's just, they've got to get some W's right now while BC is still reeling. They could get into this thing. Wild to think they could actually make the playoffs.
And it's in play.
Nobody had that. Oh yeah. Oh no, they're in the race. I mean, we both thought this was over not long ago for them. But nope, stick around. God, I love the CFL. I can't believe the NFL is only starting. People haven't been following this. There's some great stuff going on up north. Come on, football fans, check this out. Anyway, Joe, let's get out of here for this week. Now, you're doing the show next week. When are you flying out to Winnipeg?
Friday afternoon, and then coming back home Monday afternoon.
Friday afternoon.
Right.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, that's pretty cool.
Pretty much 3 days.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Great. All right. Well, I'll talk to you next week, and we will talk to our listeners. This has been the Rouge, White, and Blue CFL podcast. For my co-host, Joe Pritchard, this is Oz Davis saying, see you next week and enjoy the games.